On today's show, we round up this week's news in Heads Up. We break down some ways for you to make money that you might not have thought of for the big topic. And we're joined by a money-making YouTuber for real talk. It's 4 p.m. We're live. And this is episode 3 of My Moneycast by MyBank. So, welcome to episode 3. I am Nick Smith-Patel. I'm the head of education for young adults at MyBank, and we are going to be talking about making money in today's show. But first, before we get into all the usual stuff, a quick shout out to anyone who's watching live. If you are watching live and want to shout out, put it in the chat and the comments below. My friend Declan is there looking out for all your comments and posting useful links in the chat below. Also, if you want to get involved and send us anything for next week's show, then you can always do that to our social media channels. We're broadcasting to all 5 of these places. We're broadcasting to Instagram, to Facebook, to Twitter, to YouTube, and to Twitch, all live every Thursday at 4 p.m. If you want to get involved, feel free to drop us a line at one of those places, or drop us an email at info@mybank.org with any contributions, any requests, anything you want to know about. We want this to be your show. So if you're out there thinking, it's good, but could do with this little thing, drop us an email, let us know, and we're going to make it happen. But for now, we're going to get right in with the news in Heads Up. So, let's talk Heads Up, and let's talk first of all about Heinz. Heinz ketchup. Everyone loves Heinz, surely. As social distancing becomes more of a thing and everyone's trapped in their houses, people are starting to find more and more old school things to do. One of those things is puzzles. Now, Heinz has got in on the act. Heinz has released a puzzle of its own. It's a 570-piece puzzle, because there's 57 varieties of Heinz, and all the pieces are ketchup red. So, if you want a challenge while you're in isolation or lockdown and fancy an old school puzzle, then maybe the Heinz puzzles for you. Now, unfortunately, you can't buy these in the shops. There's only 57 that are going to be given away as a prize draw. So if you do want a chance to win those, go over to the Heinz Instagram. But yeah, good luck with a 570-piece puzzle. All the same colour. Next up, some serious news. The furlough scheme for people who work in the country and have been furloughed has been extended until October 31st. On the 12th of May, statistics published showed that the job retention scheme had protected 7.5 million people and almost 1 million businesses. Now, this is the scheme that pays 80% of wages of staff that have been furloughed by companies who can't use them. And it's up to £2,500. Now, still no word on what's happening for self-employed people, but we know that the scheme that was due to end in June is now going to be extended until the 31st of October. However, in August, employers are going to be expected to make some form of contribution to the scheme, but there is a change in that we can bring people back part-time, so that might help some more employers bring people back in. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, said, "Our coronavirus job retention scheme has protected millions of jobs and businesses across the UK during the outbreak. I've always been clear that I want to avoid a cliff edge and get people back to work in a measured way. This extension and the changes we're making to the scheme will give flexibility to businesses while protecting the livelihoods of the British people and our future economic prospects." So, good to know that if you are one of those furloughed people, that the scheme has been extended, although you may find that employers are asking people to do a little bit of work, part-time work. If you're not sure, make sure you contact your employer. And if you still want to try and get the lowdown on all this information, we partnered with The Mix early on to put some information up you might find useful. So if you can go to themix.org UK, that might help you out. There's some stuff on there about how coronavirus and money might be affecting you. So, let's move on. Last but not least, MyBank has decided to put up some new material. It's something for your little brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, to try and get them more money wise. We're calling it Family Money Twist. So our wizards at MyBank have created online videos, games and activities for 5 to 7-year-olds and 7 to 11-year-olds to teach them how to save, how to budget, how to curb spending, and how to improve money mindsets. Now, the reason this is important is that research from our friends at the Money Advice Service says that most of the attitudes and habits that we form about money are formed by the age of 7. So if you want to help your brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, even children potentially, get onto learning at mybank.org and learning.mybank.org and make sure that you get signed up. It's a great scheme. It's wonderful. We use a little dinosaur called Savosaurus Rex, who is going to help people understand how to save. So get on that. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, again, it's info@mybank.org. So, would you take on the all red puzzle by Heinz? Have you still got questions about furlough? Are you still not sure what's going on? Please make sure, put them in the chat, send them to us at info@mybank.org. And if not, we're going to get moving on with the next thing, which is the big topic. So for this week's big topic, it's right here. It's ways to make money. And we're going to talk about this in two halves. We're going to talk about traditional ways to make money so that when the virus and the lockdown is lifted, we can work out how to make some cash. But we're also going to talk about ways that you might not have thought of to make some money now while we're in lockdown. So let's start with some of the more traditional things. Let's talk about working for someone else. The majority of people in this country, their income will come from a job, from working for someone else and having their employer do their tax and all the rest of it. But as we move through the years, it's not necessarily a done deal that everyone's going to have a job. There's lots of other ways to secure your income, and actually a lot of people who don't work for someone else rely on a different form of income. They rely on benefits to help them get through, pay bills, pay for food, that kind of stuff. So whether you're working or claiming benefits as an income, they're kind of the two main ones, and the things that people think of first. And if you're not doing those two, then you're probably going to be self-employed or started your own business. Now, if you do this, you need to make sure you're paying your own tax. Taxman will ask you to provide some documentation, but this gives you some flexibility. And if you're creative, there's lots of things you can do. In fact, out the back of this self-employment, start your own business kind of fad, we've had the rise of what we call the gig economy, which is the rise of those apps and websites where you can do odd jobs here and there and get paid for just those jobs. So for example, if you think about Deliveroo or Just Eat or Uber Eats, all those staff are technically self-employed contractors who will work for themselves, and they use the platform to make their money. If you think about websites like TaskRabbit, if you've ever seen TaskRabbit or Airtasker, they're websites where you can sign up and just do odd jobs here and there for 50, 60, 70 pounds a time, and you tell people what you can do, they book you, nice and easy. You only work when you want to, you don't work when you don't want to, and you're working for yourself. So again, tax implications, you need to make sure you're declaring all your tax. The last one to talk about briefly is people invest money, and you can invest money in loads of ways. You can buy currency and sell it. You can buy gold or silver or precious metals and sell that. You can buy houses, assets, cars, and flip them and try and make more money out of them. Hell, you can invest in comics. I know people that have collected massive amounts of comic books with the idea that they'll be worth more money in the future. So investments don't have to just be traditional stocks and shares that you might have thought of. Anything you put money into that's going to be worth later, that's an investment. And some people might argue that in things like education and training courses where you're spending money on yourself is an investment in yourself because you'll make more money afterwards. So those are the kind of broad 5 main things. We're going to take you through some other things, some things you might not have thought of. And for this, we're going to turn to some material from one of our other programs. We have a program called Money House. We talked about Money Works last week. This is Money House. Money House is a 5-day program that we deliver in real flats across London. And we cover all of the topics that you can see on screen here. So living independently, budgeting, benefits, borrowing, scams, money muling, all that kind of stuff. And it's done informally. We have a real flat, so it's nice and laid back. People get paid for travel. So travel is covered, food is covered, that kind of stuff. And we're going to take some of today's material from the Money House side of things in terms of how you can make some extra cash. So before we get into that, have a look at this video and see if you think you could do this as a source of income.
Our customers pay $205 to be first in this line. People think that standing online is very simple, and it is. We're same old line dudes, we're line sitters. We stand in line for you, professional line sitting for your next online. I can earn $2,000 to $3,000 a week just standing in line. When we're in these long hour waits, we're on our phones, we're doing crossword puzzles. It's very simple. My most successful day, we had 14 customers for the iPhone. That was about $14,000. Our strangest request is for stuff that is free. People pay us to get a collectible or a free food sample. Sometimes we get other people who want to take advantage. They may try to skip, keep standing your ground, and letting them know that you won't tolerate any BS. I got this. With same old line dude, I don't have to work a full-time job, and that always amazes me.
Doesn't sound like a bad hustle, right? Standing in line, getting paid. You may not have thought about that as a way of making money, but actually more and more as services become valuable to people, there are ways to make money that people have never thought of before. And during this coronavirus situation and the lockdown, there are a couple of ways you might not have considered. Let's take you through them. So, first and foremost, sell homemade stuff online. Now, this can vary, but you might have seen an increase in people selling homemade masks online. Where there is a need, someone will fill that gap. But also, if you're just creative, if you can paint, if you can make things with wool. I know I've seen people who knit things, selling things on websites like Etsy. Now, If you're worried about the tax implication of selling things online, the government actually says you can sell £1,000 worth of stuff online without telling them anything about your income. If you sell more than £1,000 online, you do need to declare that, and you may have to pay some tax towards that. But if you only make £900 in a year selling your goods online as a side hustle, you don't need to tell them anything, and that's totally legit income you can make. My wife used to work at a post office, and when she did, she met someone whose entire income, their whole income, was them painting Christmas baubles, selling them all year round on Etsy to make their money. So might be a side hustle, might make it into a main hustle, but you can sell those things online, eBay, but Etsy is a particularly good platform for that sort of thing as well. If you have some digital skills, become a digital freelancer. There's companies out there asking for people who can do design work, people who can do typing work. Fiverr.com is one of the bigger ones where you can go and sign up and tell people what you can offer, and people can book you. And at the moment, there's lots of companies looking for people who can do lots of bits and pieces. So if you've got any digital skills, consider maybe becoming a digital freelancer and making some side cash there. You can get paid for your opinions. You can have websites where you do surveys. And I know that a lot of those websites get a bad rap because they take too long, or some of them are genuinely scams. But the ones that do pay out, the decent ones, are actually paying you for maybe a minute of your time every day. Once you get to 50 quid, you get paid out. I actually prefer focus groups, and Saros Research, one of the websites that I use personally, and they will pay you to go to focus groups and just talk about what you think about a subject. So I've been paid for testing video games. I've been paid for testing websites, for talking about whether I think the logo on this looks good. Easy money. And if you're interested, we'll put the websites up at the end of this section. The other thing you can do is get some cash back on all the things you're buying now. I'm pretty sure most people in lockdown will have spent a little bit of money on some nice things for themselves, or maybe the essential things on places like Amazon. Websites like Quidco and Top Cashback might be able to help here, in that everything you spend on those websites, you might be able to get a little bit of it back as cash back. If it sounds too good to be true, the way this works is every time you go to a website from Quidco, they pay Quidco for sending you. All Quidco's doing, or Top Cashback is doing, paying you a share of that. So a way to get a little bit back was what you're already spending. Lastly, have a clear out, sell some stuff. If you've got some stuff laying around the house that you don't need anymore, put it on eBay. Now, if you're worried about how to sell these things and actually send them, you could use someone like Hermes or another delivery service to come and collect the items from your home instead of you having to leave your house and go to the post office. But certainly have a clear out. If there's any clothes you haven't worn for a while, maybe chuck them out or get ready for them to be on sale. Certainly, if it's in your wardrobe and you're not wearing it, just sitting there and it's just dead money. So, few different ways you can make some extra cash there. If you're questioning sort of where the websites are, Saros is the website for joining a focus group. Quidco and Top Cashback are cashback websites where you can make money back on things that you've already spent money on. Fiverr is the freelancer website I mentioned earlier. Etsy, kind of like an eBay for homemade things. And if you are stuck and you have no other cash and you need some desperate cash at your desperate times, the UK government website, gov.uk, for benefits, and do check whether you're entitled to anything as well. And again, if you need to know anything more about whether you're entitled to benefits, whether you are entitled to any help with work, that kind of stuff, check out our articles on the mix. And I think that's going to do us for the big topic today. So we're going to move into Real Talk and meet our guest. And today for Real Talk, I'm joined by, there we go, Ohemaa Afia, who is a Money House graduate, YouTuber, and mum. How are you doing? Oh, sorry, I think you've got your mic muted. There we go. Say that again for me.
I said I'm good, thank you, and you?
Awesome.
That's so embarrassing.
Oh, it's fine. Listen, the last two shows, my mic has gone out on two separate occasions. So it's a
fair
trend.
enough. I feel a bit better now.
No, it's fine. It's part of our tradition here. Someone's mic has to be turned off at some point during the show. It's absolutely fine. So you actually came through the Money House program that we were just talking about, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Do you want to say a little bit about what you thought about it, like what your experience was?
I found it quite good because it was helpful without being boring. And in terms of like money handling and everything, I thought I knew it all, but I learned so much new that like I couldn't even have thought of.
It is one of those things that you don't necessarily know you don't know it until you don't know it, right?
Exactly.
You think you know it all and it's all good and well, and all of a sudden, oh, I don't know this, and this is Scary.
Learn something new every day.
Absolutely. It's a good aim as well. So I guess I haven't really said much about what we're doing with you on the show, so I'm just going to hand over to you for you to say a little bit about your background,
Okay.
and how you got into kind of social media in general.
Okay, so I'm from Newham, so I grew up in Newham, and I actually started YouTube as a hobby. So I used to do a lot of rants on my Snapchat, and a lot of people will like view it, and then I made my story open so they could share it around. And everyone's telling me like, start YouTube, and I didn't know where to start. And one day I just did it. And that was about like 2 years ago. I started just before I turned 18, and now I have 11,000 subscribers after
Wow.
2 years, inconsistently as well.
Hold on, 11,000 people who are following your stuff, keeping track of. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, in 2 years.
That's crazy.
And I didn't really have a large social media following and stuff like that. I used Twitter here, there, but I started from scratch. Like, I wasn't a celebrity. I wasn't making music. I wasn't doing any, it was just straight YouTube.
So, I mean, how does that translate, those 11,000 viewers and all the stuff you're doing? Everyone wants to know how it translates into your pocket, right? Like, how does that work? So where is the money actually coming from in these?
Okay, so when it came to YouTube, when I started YouTube, they were changing around how they paid people. So before I started, when I was researching like how you make your money from YouTube, a lot of people get money very easily. Like, they'll have like a 300 or 400 pound paycheck from 1 or 2 videos. But more people started to join YouTube, and YouTube wanted to change how it makes its money. So basically, when it comes to money, you get paid based on ads. So when you post a YouTube video, like, ads will show. If people interact, you'll make like $1 per click. I don't know, like something like that, or 60p per click. And then you also make your money from sponsorships. Right. So once your channel grows, you have the platform to advertise. So people reach out to you, like a lot of hair companies reach out to me, clothing brands, and then I'll tell them like a set price. So once I was growing, I was like 150 to 200 per sponsorship, because then I know if I post that video, I'm making that amount like that.
So hold on, I need to do some math here, right?
Okay.
Someone phones you up and says, promote my wig.
Yeah.
Right? You charge them 200 quid.
Yeah.
How much does it cost you to make that video?
Okay, so I record on my phone. So obviously I have a monthly bill. So I don't really have a tech savvy camera. I have a ring light that I got from Amazon for £80. So my lighting isn't, but I think it's about making the best out of what you have. So obviously I record on my phone, and then I edit on my phone as well with a free app called iMovie, which is given to you on an iPhone. So I edit, and then I'll put the video on my computer just so it can upload quicker. And yeah, so for that video, maybe I'll talk about the product for 3-4 minutes, and then I'll talk about a topic, so that it's not just a boring video about a product. So then that's the advertisement. Then I'll show them the video. If they like it, they like it, and they pay me. And then, I
mean, that's pure profit, right? I mean, you've already got a phone. It's just record something, and that's amazing. I'm obviously in the wrong field. I need to start doing these for money. So if you're watching this,
money,
go for it.
Sorry, no, I was going to say in terms of money, it's cheap, but in terms of your time, recording, editing, and all of that. But obviously, so sometimes it's a bit when you're not really making a video for money, but then you need to remember like why you started your channel. Like, I would definitely not recommend YouTube if you want to make money like that, because you need to get a certain amount of subscribers, a certain amount of views. Then they review your channel. You need to promote your stuff and everything like that. So if you're looking for fast money, it's not the greatest, but once you develop your content, the money will start flowing in. You can choose what you want to charge.
Like, I mean, we had some tips earlier on about some quick money. You're the long money. So do my stuff until you get ready to be in your position, and then we're all good and you've got money coming in either way, right?
Definitely. Or you could do like short methods, like promoting a company on your social media. So say you have 5,000 followers on a social media like Instagram, or you get 5,000 views on Snapchat, you can charge people like £50. Oh, I'll promote your product. That's 24 hours promotion, £50 in your pocket. So it depends how you utilize your social media. Another thing that I do is like going out. So I'll go out to a party or a club for an event organizer, and I'll vlog it, and then I'll post it on my platform. So they'll give me like a free table, free drinks, maybe pay me like £100 for the promotion. So then I'm having a fun night out, and I'm also getting paid. I mean,
that's the dream, surely. You get paid to have fun, right?
So that there is other ways that you can make it quick, but
And I guess if there's a message you're passionate about, then that helps as well. So.
Definitely.
So I guess, I mean, that's the one tip, is don't do it for the quick money. Is there anything else you'd say to anyone out there who's kind of looking at this going, yeah, I'm up for that. You know, I could do with £200 an endorsement. Like, what would you say to them as a kind of, especially about getting started? I think it would
definitely. What I would say about getting started is that, like, fear is the biggest thing, like the fear of the unknown and putting yourself out there on social media. But the fact that you had the thought to do it, just do it. Like Nike says, just do it. Like, just do it now. What is stopping you? Yeah. If you really want to do it, you like talking, you want to reach out to people, try it out. Like, it's your first time. When I made my first video, it was terrible. The camera quality was terrible. The editing skills was poor. It got sent around laughing because I was just a normal girl from New and people were taking the piss out of me. Yeah. But I just kept going. And then what I wanted to do, I wanted to delete my old videos. But when I looked back at it, to see the growth is just like, wow, like. And then when I look at old screenshots, I had 800 subscribers or 3,000 and 5,000. To see the growth is like, you don't actually realize how far you come until you reflect. So just keep going. Don't worry about the numbers. Just do it. If you really want to, just do it. Like,
it's perfect you had that answer, because literally the minute you started answering that question, I had a question coming on Instagram saying, what advice would you give someone who's thinking about this but doesn't know where to start? So hopefully, viewer on Instagram, hopefully that answered your question. But if not, quickly put one back in the chat. We've got about 2 minutes. Quickly get one in. The other thing I wanted to ask, just really quickly, as a kind of a closing thing, is in terms of the Money House and, you know, being on the course and learning stuff about finance, why is it so important for you to know about the money stuff? I mean, obviously YouTube, you can make some quick cash and there's lots of it to make. Yeah. But why then is it so important to know how to deal with it?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest, I have really bad money handling skills. Like, I'll look for deals and stuff like that, but because I pay cheap for little things, I start buying more stuff. So when I did the Money House, I realized that I'm actually growing up and this is going to be useful, because in school, they don't teach you about tax. They don't teach you about money handling and all of that. You don't learn that. You learn like Pythagoras theorem and you analyze this book. So once you, like, adulthood hits you and you start paying bills and you got to pay rent and you buy this and you're trying to save, you actually need that education. That is really important. Like, financial literacy, is that how you say it?
Yep, that's the one.
Oh, I thought I was going to start on stumble. But like, it's so important within the young generation, because we don't realize how adulthood will hit you, and it hits you hard.
Absolutely.
Like, definitely.
That's superb. I'm gonna stop you there, because I think that's superb. But that's great. Ohemaa Afia, thank you very much for joining us today. If you want to check out,
having me.
No, pleasure. Hopefully we get some more people just like you, because it's been superb. If you're interested in checking out, where do people find you?
So my Instagram is Ohems _ OHEMSS _. My Snapchat is Ohems2, and my YouTube's Ohemaa Afia. So go check it out.
Awesome, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
And we're going to keep moving, and we're going to move on to our last thing today, and that is our top tips. All right, so we've been talking about making money. We've talked about YouTube. We've talked about self-employment. Here are 3 things you should keep in mind about making money, especially at this time. Number 1, if you do decide to do some self-employed work or start YouTube and start making some money that isn't from an employed source, make sure you tell HMRC. The tax man needs to know, and you need to do your own taxes. Now, the HMRC are very good about explaining this. So feel free to ask them what you need to do, get some information from them, and they'll be able to help you out from there. So make sure you do tell them. Number 2, try the 12-month rule for selling old stuff. If you haven't used it in 12 months, if you haven't touched it in 12 months, chances are you're not going to use it, and you could probably get away with selling it. Obviously, there's some exceptions. My wife would not let me throw out her wedding dress, but there are some things in her wardrobe that I think we could easily throw out, and we'll probably do that. Also, remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Do your research, do your homework, make sure you're not getting scammed by someone. And above all, remember my 3 top tips for this week. And that's about going to close us out today. If you want to get involved or see us next week, here are the social medias down at the bottom of the screen. Send us anything you'd like to. Also, feel free to email us at any time with anything you'd like to send in. info@mybank.org if you want to send me a message or the show a message. Send a video, send a poem, send anything you would like, a question. Send it into info@mybank.org. But until next week, I'm Nick Smith Patel, Head of Education for Young Adults. Yes, I know I'm not going to really chuck the wedding. I'll keep Hopefully you'll join us next week. Next week we're talking about scams and how to stay safe, especially because there's lots of people out there trying to do very dodgy things with your money. So until then, stay safe, take care, bye bye.